what it was.
Right? Yeah. Very, very precise. You can really feel the front end grip. There's a lot. And just, yeah, the downshift is...
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Automotive Anatomy. Today we have Ashton. Ashton, thank you so much for making the time for us once again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Round two.
Round two.
Yep.
It gets better.
It does. I think so.
It does.
Yeah.
Tell us, man, what do you drive?
So I drive a 2009 E90 BMW M3. And of course it's got the V8 in it, a little DCT transmission. And it just rips. And I'm trying to set it up for track. That's the main thing. As you can see, it kind of looks pretty much track orientated for the most part. And just really learning about the car, building the car, what to use, what not to use, and just start, I guess, trying to really become a better driver as a whole, whether it's going through Angeles Crest, you know, Button Willow, auto crossing, everything, you name it. So just kind of enjoying the build, enjoying learning how to drive is kind of where it's at right now for me. So originally I had the E36 M3, the Rocket Bunny kit. It was super nice, clean, everything was just perfect, and that was a problem. Everything was perfect. Okay. And so I had a hard time trying to take it to the track and beat it up and destroy it. And then even though this is probably worth a lot more, which is funny, but it has all the rock chips. The front lip is turning pretty much white from, you know, going through so much through the canyons. And I just love it. I don't have to worry about anything. I can just go ham and just, you know, enjoy it every minute.
Tell us about the transition between the E36. How did you stumble upon this one? Because there's so many different choices to go, especially one, were you thinking of always staying in the BMW world? And two, how does this generation come about? So
with switching from an E36 and then really thinking about when I went to the track that day, I had an F30 335i. And that was a pretty quick car. It wasn't really track prep. It didn't have the tires and the brakes and everything that I should have. But I went out on the track and I got to experience it and see what kind of, am I gonna be a track rat, or am I just gonna go out and just have an enjoyable time on the track and just see what I can do and try to beat my own, you know, personal time. So then that really brought to the conclusion, I was looking for a car that was just gonna do everything. Okay. You know, something that was really the main thing. It wasn't, I didn't want to have something like go buy another E36 and just strip it to all hell and just track it, trailer it, do all that. Because I still wanted something I could still go on the street, the canyon drive, and the autocross, and kind of have something that just one thing does it all. And I really wanted the DCT transmission. And so I was looking to buy an F80. So I sold the E36 M3 and I sold the F30, and then that was the game plan. Okay, you know, I'm just gonna get one car and, you know, go from there, because I have a company vehicle, so I didn't really need to have a daily driver. So that's kind of what I started off as looking for an F80. And then a guy that was looking to buy the E36 said, hey, you know what, I have every generation M3s, and I'm telling you, you need to look at the E90, E90 M3, and to see really that car was awesome, everything about it. I said, okay, well, I'll take your word for it. Started shopping around, started looking around, went on YouTube, watching these guys, you know, downshifting with the V8, being super loud, which I love. I mean, to be honest, the louder the better. You know, no cats, no mufflers, just let that shit rip, dude. You know what I mean? All day long. I don't even care. I mean, I've gotten pulled over how many times. So I'm all about that. And previously I had a Dodge Charger 392 Scat Pack, and I had it for maybe about 3,000 miles. I got totaled. Somebody just straight ran into it and totaled it, but it had a V8. And so I was like, damn, I do miss the V8. Obviously the car was really heavy. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe the V8 in a smaller chassis, that'd be pretty badass. So then also my buddy had an F80 at the time, and he even said, you know, I'm selling the F80. I want something that has more character to it. Sounds really good. And so then I ended up, he took me for a ride in it, and then I started shopping for one. So
that was it. That was the moment.
That was pretty much the moment. Yeah, correct. Gotcha. Yeah. Between that and YouTube, because of all of the feedback that you get from this car and this chassis, and the V8 was just, I mean, everyone had something good to say about it. I don't think there was ever, I came across a negative comment or something, you know, other than maybe the torque might be kind of low on this car. But other than that, the way that just the balance of the vehicle and everything was just amazing.
All right, Ashton, so tell us a little bit about the front end. What do you got going on? Let's start with the outside of it.
So the front end, I have pretty much the run-of-the-mill, the GT4 front lip, which is made by Palm Performance. Of course, just the tow strap, just for track use. And then I also have the, which is pretty basic. Oh, I also will, since we're on the front, I do have an upgraded CSF oil cooler for the track. And also, I reached out to these guys in Sweden, and they actually make these custom vents called Pure Tech Sweden. And I had them, ship them over. I had my buddy at Chris at Sterling Autocon. He color matched them, cut them up, installed them. They look really, really good. Happy with the end result. There's a hood that's out in Germany. And I love the hood, but it's a full carbon hood, and I think between they make it and they ship it, it's like $3,000, and then you got to get it painted. So I'm like, you know what? Like, as much as I would love to do that, this is a different option number 2. And it is a heat extractor, so it kind of takes sucks the hot air out of the hood. So it's kind of it's beneficial, and it looks cool.
And for the moment, it works for you.
It works for me. It looks really nice. I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna mess with anything else on it. Yeah, everything else on the front end is pretty much gonna stay the way it is.
Alrighty. So tell us a little bit about suspension pieces.
Okay, so suspension pieces, quite a few things. I'm running right now the Fortune Auto coilovers, and also the upgraded sway bars. Let's see. I'm running the monoballs up front for the lower control arm. I'm running the solid differential mounts, solid subframe mounts, and then of course, the sway bar in the rear, sway bar in the front. And that's pretty much it on the suspension. If anything else comes to mind, but that's pretty much what I have on there. And then that's about it, yeah.
What are some of the future plans for them?
For suspension wise, it's funny you say that, because two-way the two-way coilovers on there, that's something I really want to get, but they are very expensive. The JRZ Pros or MCS, I mean, you're talking $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 for a really good set of coilovers. And it's not necessarily, there was a point where I was like, okay, you know what, that's the next step. Like, I'm just gonna, if you want to get serious about it, you want to have a good suspension, because suspension is everything.
Right.
Suspension, tires, brakes, all that stuff. That's something that I was looking to do, but then, I kind of took a step back, and I'm like, you know what? I just need to drive the car, because the way that I'm driving right now, like, if you put in a two-way, like, yeah, I'm sure I'll notice a difference, but am I really going to notice a difference for, a $6,000, $7,000 coilover? So I kind of just, hang tight for a minute. I'm just going to, I have a certain time that I want to hit at Button Willow with exactly the way this is set up. And once I hit that time, then I'm going to start putting, really top dollar coilovers on here. Same kind of with the brakes too, with the BBK. I mean, I'm going to probably get that anyways. But I mean, it's definitely a really high, high price item, but very important. So I obviously just took care of, obviously the basics with the pads, the stainless steel lines, the fluids, and all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of brakes, I heard a little squealing. So what kind of brake pads are you
So
running?
I'm actually running the Project Mu Club Racers.
Nice.
And I love them. They're extremely good in the cold, extremely good on the track. You can modulate them really well. They tended to, eat the rotors up pretty good, and they sound like an 18-wheeler. And people always hit me up, hey man, your car sounds like it's broken. Or if I pull up to a gas station, like, hey, you need to really get new brakes. A lot of slack, and I'll tell you what, when they squeal, oh my God, it sounds like someone's dying. I mean, people from the right to left, they're staring at you and they think like you just killed somebody, because it is the worst sounding squealing ever. I recommend the pad on track, but not as a daily. And of course with this car, if I am driving this car, either like I'm going to the track, autocross, or going through the canyons, so it doesn't bother me. Once they heat up, they're quiet. They aren't bad. But like, we were heading back from Button Willow like 2 weeks ago. Oh, it was bad. My buddy Fat has a Porsche Cayman, and it's, looks like a cup car, and it's super loud, and you can hear the brakes over that thing. You know what I mean? He's like looking at me in the mirror, he's like, dude, you need to turn that shit off, man, because we were in traffic, coming through LA. And it was death. I can only imagine what people thought of the car, but it is what it is. And at kind of the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, like,
well, if
here we squeaking, you know. you.
Speaking of that, tell us about the wheel and tire setup. I don't think I've ever seen these wheels.
So these, I guarantee you've never seen these wheels. Surprisingly, they're T37s, who knew? They're the Super Lap, so they're like the little bit lighter version. And they're just, everyone has them. But what's crazy is I had another set of wheels on here. And the real reason I even bought these wheels just because they're super light. And I mean, obviously they look good, but given that they're so light, made a huge difference on the way this car stops, brakes, performance just in general, just made the car feel even quicker through the steering. You just got so much more feedback having a lightweight wheel. And, everybody has them, and they're not.
There's a reason why.
There's a reason why, and they're super strong. I have no problem tracking these. I honestly do not care. I know a lot of people, they spend the money on them and they don't want to track them. They'll get the Apex, but I care less. I mean, whatever it is, what it is. And of course, the tires. I'm running the Federal Pro. I think they're the Federal Pros, and they, what's funny is like a lot of people get a lot of slack for them, but it's kind of with me in the suspension. You go out and spend everything, you get top dollar, you get, NTO ones per se, and like you spend all this kind of money and you buy the best of the best. Well, if you're at the best of the best and you're still learning as a driver to get better, well, then what happens when some starts wearing out and you know what I mean? Like you already made it, like, well, where are we going to go? Right. So my buddy Matt, who's an amazing driver, he even told me, he's like, I'm happy you got the Pros because, you're going to learn on these tires. And you're gonna push them, and once you know, like, hey, you know what, I need a better tire, then you move up. Then you spend more money and you get, some NTO ones or, the Nankings or something that's gonna gives you more grip, and then you can really see the transformation between the tires. And as you progress, you get more grip as a driver, exactly. And I was a little bit iffy on the wing too, but my buddy was selling it for a good deal. I was like, all right, fuck, I'll buy it. So
remind us, what is the wheel tire specs?
So it's 18 9.5 in the front plus 22, and 18 10.5 plus 22 in the rear. And then the tires a 265/35, and then a 275/35 in the rear. So yeah, and I love the meaty fitment and just that really nice aggressive stance. Yeah, and I'm running probably about 3.2 negative degrees of camber in the front, and then in the rear is probably like 2.5. Wow. So it is pretty aggressive in the front, but like I said, when I'm driving the vehicle, it's it definitely helps out a lot. I'm gonna leave it. I don't have any plans of changing it. Maybe possibly a bit further down the road if I go with, let's say, some another Apex wheel with like a an actual like slick, like a Hoosier or something like that. But right now I'm just gonna leave it as is, and it's good because it's a 200 tread wear, so you get some pretty good life out of it. You can go on the street, do all the driving that I want to do, and still have a happy medium. Yeah. Versus a 100 tread wear, it's half the life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you said the wing. What kind of wing?
It's a Voltex wing, and which I contacted a company back east, which these are different uprights, because the original uprights that came with it, they were 275 millimeter. And so the wing was like, and granted, I get it, it's like roofline and it's really, really high, but that just wasn't really my style.
A little too high for you.
A little too high. So I contacted these guys on the East Coast, and this is a 245 mil upright, and I like it just a solid plate, looks more aggressive. So sits a little bit lower, and I just feel like it suits the car a little bit better. I thought the rear bumper was just really boring looking. So there's a company out in Germany. It's called Team Stürmer, and they build the baddest E90, 92 cars on the Nurburgring, period. And of course, they post photos, and so they actually had a few sedans, and they actually had all these holes cut out just like this. And so, which I was like, dude, I got to do it, And so one of my buddies, I hit him up and said, hey, I know you're really good with, cutting things. And I was like, hey, do you mind cutting up my bumper? He's like, sure, no problem. So the guys from Team Stürmer, they actually sent me a layout.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, sent me a layout, just kind of pretty much of like the diameter of the holes, where they're spread out and this and that. And my buddy just freehand cut it. No template or anything. Well, we kind of put tape over it, marked everything up, and he just cut everything.
Savages, come on now.
Yeah. So I mean, we still marked it, but I mean, it was a little bit tenuous, you know what I mean, to try to kind of get everything lined up and everything, but I love it. And then it was funny is that, so I did that first and I didn't have a wing, and then my buddy's like, dude, he's like, you need a fucking wing. yeah, he's like, you're going backwards, dude. He's like, it looks so plain. And I was like, man, like, dude, just leave me alone. Like, I just leave me alone, man. I just cut the rear bumper, and then of course, it's just funny how things work out. And my buddy just so happened, he's like, hey, I got a wing that I could sell you for pretty good, because there's a GT4 wing that they have for these cars that's in Germany. I really love the wing. It's a little bit low profile. It's like about the same width, but the uprights on there, they look like little like sticks, and it just didn't look very aggressive. The wing itself, I loved it. I love the layout. So I was torn between that one and then this one, and my buddy gave me a good deal, and I was like, all right, and it's, I can go to his house, I can test fit and see if I really like it, versus the other one was in Germany and takes, I think, maybe about a month or two to make, and it wasn't cheap by any means, of course. And but it fits the car, and on track too. It feels really good. It feels super stable, over 120 miles an hour, 130. Just feels really planted, yeah, made a difference. So of course the rear roll bars, Studio RSR. I have the good old Recaro pole positions. I have your the 6-point harness, and of course the great KMP steering wheel, which is absolutely just amazing. These guys just, you can see the fit and finish of it. Obviously the quick release, as you can see, just really makes everything just come together, and especially the whole driving experience. It's just awesome. Definitely one of the
best upgrades you could ever.
Yeah, I would definitely say. Especially because obviously, when it comes to driving, what else? The steering wheel, and of course the seats. Super comfortable, nothing too aggressive, because I didn't want to go with SPGs, which they fit a little bit narrow, which I had in the E36. Mm-hmm. And for the long drives, if you go in canyon or autocross or to the track, eventually you get pretty tired. So with these, it's like perfect. They hold you in there, but it's comfortable. And that was like, I had to have the pole positions. That was just one of those things that I was looking for. And so yeah, that's pretty much plans you want to talk about the interior wise. So I'm still debating, but I'm probably gonna end up doing the door cards, replacing all these, and going either lightweight ones. And of course the big thing that I'm gonna be doing is doing the sunroof delete. So I have two options. Either I just remove everything and put a cap, like a carbon fiber cap, or I do a full complete carbon fiber roof, which one's $400 and the other one's $3,000. So
let's go with the 400 one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm probably going to do the $400 one just for temporarily, because I think they say it saves about 50 pounds, and of course it's overhead. And that's something I could just pull everything out and do myself. And then I think later down the road, which I hopefully still have this vehicle, and it probably by that time would just be a full track car, then it's just nice knowing that there's so many options for this chassis. There's so many just different variations, and there's so much support for the E90. Well, I think really just in BMW in general, of course.
Right.
But it's cool because you look at some of the other vehicles that are out there, like if you got a Cadillac, ATS-V, it's a cool car. I actually really like those, but performance-wise or parts is very limited. There's only so many things. This thing, there's pages and pages and stuff with interior suspension. So I could pop this one, because the last one I didn't want to pop.
Or you're not gonna pop this one either.
No, I don't care about that. Remember the E36?
I remember.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave us in suspense?
Yeah. There's not a really whole lot on this one, but
like what?
Pretty much, yeah. There isn't really a whole lot to it. Just naturally aspirated V8. It does have the Mott Shell Stage 2 intake, and it also has the Dynon upgraded pulley. It has the Beamer rolled X-pipe, the Megan rear muffler section, and that's pretty much it. It does have a tune from Alpine, and it also has a transmission tune as well. So pretty much is your basic bolt-ons, just to get a little more pep, just better sounding. I wouldn't mind completely removing the mufflers and just go full straight pipe. It is ridiculously loud. Maybe probably a valve system would be the smart idea, because I already got an exhaust ticket, of course, here in Irvine. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And people always ask me, oh, would you supercharge it? And I would never supercharge this car.
Why?
Just for one, the heat soak on it and durability, and then track use. There is one particular guy that I mean, you know, he's an older gentleman, and he is amazing when it comes to lap times. I mean, he's pulled some crazy lap times, and he's, you know, full carbon doors. He's done about 150 track days, and it's supercharged, and which is amazing. No issues whatsoever. You know, changes the oil obviously 2 or 3 times, or 2 or 3 track events. But yeah, supercharged. He has some issues with cooling, because it does add a lot more heat to the engine. But I feel like with this setup, there's more than enough power.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you get on the track. But you know, it's one of those things where when you know, if you're all about performance and speed, supercharge it, because it's 150 more horsepower, no problem. And this thing's a beast, you know, with it being supercharged. But given that my plans for the car and what I do with it, I'm just going to leave it NA.
It's perfect.
And just yeah, it's perfect. It's great. Yeah, it's more than enough. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Ashton. Well, thank you so much for showing us this amazing M3. It's a freaking beast, and I think you've done the proper things, which is dial in the suspension, your driver points, the seat, the steering wheel, they're on point. So it's a monster. It's a monster. So remind us of maybe any other future plans that you forgot about, and any shout outs.
So future plans, 100% is a BBK. So stop tech, 6-piston front, 4-piston rear, 380 mil is just going to be a must. Even though right now everything's set up is pretty good. I don't have any issues on the track, but BBK is going to be the next step, 100%. And obviously the sunroof delete, and that's pretty much it for right now. I mean, obviously I want to go with some better suspension with, well, we know how expensive that can get, but so that's it for right now. And then shout out wise, PureTech Sweden, they did a really good job on the vents. They sent them over really quickly. I love the design. Trinity Motorsports, they're the ones that pretty much went through all the suspension components. They literally took a little marker for me and marked every single nut and bolt on this chassis. Every single nut and bolt. So that way, if anything backs up, any issues whatsoever, we know about it. They did a really, really good job. They took care of the valve covers. I mean, they went, you know, top to bottom, make this thing was track reliable, track ready for that most part. And Sterling Autocon for doing the install on the vents. And actually my buddy Navith, he's helped me out tremendously. He seems to always have something for sale that I just can't pass up, and he's helped me out tremendously. He also is a feather. He has an E90 too, E90 M3, and he's had so many different variations of it, and he's just a really cool guy, and he's helped me out a lot with this build, like a lot. So I really thank him a lot for it too as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the guys helping me out. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ashton. I can't wait for those future plans, man. And please keep this thing on the road, but just keep the brakes down.
Yeah, I know. We'll try.
That, keep building this monster of a freaking M3. Man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Holy shit. Yeah. Oh. That's fucking wild, dude. The heart's pounding right now. definitely did not feel what it was.
Right?
It's so smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you can get in a lot of trouble with this one.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Brakes good. Feels good.